Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So I don't think I've ever done a cover homage specific video, so I thought it would be as good of a time as ever to get a list of 7 cover homage CGC 9.8 comic books that you could invest in. And cover homages, they've become like so accepted and well collected. Like, I don't think if you asked anyone from like the 80s and 90s, they couldn't have predicted sort of how popular cover homages have become. And I think for good reason too, because yeah, it's a sort of way to get a slice of those huge key issues that are really expensive and you can't really afford, obviously. And so, you know, if you really want an Amazing Fantasy 15, you can just buy an Amazing Spider-Man 252 and kind of get some of those feelings of those huge issues. So cover homages are great, I think. So I got 7 of my favorite here, and there's so many cover homages, like, to be honest. So if you do have some of your favorites that I don't cover, definitely let me know in the comments below. But first one on the list is one I have in the CGC 9.8, luckily. It's an Immortal Hulk #1 here. Yeah, in the first print with the Alex Ross cover. It's a cover homage of Incredible Hulk 105. Such a classic cover. Yeah, this is a modern classic, I would say, just coming out in the past couple of years here. But definitely, I think, is already a modern classic, and I think as time goes on, it'll just be more well collected. And Immortal Hulk is such a well-read and loved series. So on the census, 567 CGC 9.8s in the blue label, 54.3% the 9.8 ratio, so just over all half of graded copies are CGC 9.8. That's not too bad for like this book just coming out in the last couple of years here. A lot of times those type of books are like 80% of all graded copies are 9.8, so not too bad, the 54.3%. So Immortal Hulk #1, just such a well executed Alex Ross cover. In the 9.8 prices, 140 to 160 basically on eBay. Looking this morning, I think 1 or 2 sold for 140 and 1 sold for 160 I was seeing. So I think that's about the range. You know, I picked mine up about a year ago for like 120. So this, I don't think, has heated up. Maybe you can still get it for 120 if you're sort of really patient in an auction kind of thing. But I think it's worth sort of 140 to 160 as well. This is just a really cool one that hasn't really heated up that much, but just I think will be really well collected over time. This classic cover. Yeah, Immortal Hulk #1, first print, the Alex Ross cover in the CGC 9.8. A great cover homage to consider. So yeah, I talked about it really quickly there. The next one on the list is an Amazing Spider-Man 252. So yeah, I got 2 copies of this one too. Yeah, I think just one of the better sort of investment grade 1980s Spider-Man issues, I think. The Amazing Fantasy 15 cover homage, obviously, yeah, first tied for first black costume appearance, so it's kind of cool when you can, you know, get a first appearance in there with a good homage. I think, you know, especially since it's so classic like this one. So this one kind of really stands out, to be honest, out of all these. But it's heating up in price, so we'll get into the price in a second here in the 9.8. But $1,295 in the blue label out there. So just, it is one of the really popular books. But you'd think that's kind of a lot, actually. But the 9.8 ratio is 11.4%. So of all graded copies, only 11.4% of them are 9.8. So this is just extremely popular. There's thousands of these being graded, so even though there's 1,295 of them in the 9.8, a pretty low 9.8 ratio for a 1984 book. And yeah, I've recommended this one in the past a lot, especially when it was kind of pulling back there, you know, about a year ago, around $400. Even some were going for under 400. And I thought it was a great buy then. Now, having a look on some of the completed listings, yeah, it's basically the range is 800 to 900 now. Yeah, you know, anything sort of symbiote, black costume with the Venom movie coming up is really popular right now. Even Null is so like the god of the symbiote, so he's just heating up all symbiotes as well. So 800 to 900 does kind of seem like a lot, but this is just such a classic investment grade issue. I think it might be worth it to get in there at the lower end of the fair value. So maybe if an auction, you know, hopefully there's a bit of a lull in the next couple months in the sort of black costume symbiote popularity, and you can get this one under 800. But the completed listings right now in the 9.8, 800 to 900, like the newsstand's going for 900. I think one maybe went for 1,000. There was an auction that ended maybe 3 weeks ago, and one went for like 910 or something like that, and that really surprised me. Yeah, this book's come a long way, but yeah, for good reason, I think. So collectible, great homage of Amazing Fantasy 15, and looks really good on the census for a 1980s 9.8, and that's why I got 2, and yeah, really happy I sort of picked up my 2. And I remember, I think it was this one, yeah, the newsstand, I paid, I think it was like $5.29 or something at the time, and that was like an overpay at the time. They were going for like $400, $425, but just got in a bit of a bidding war, and I really wanted the newsstand to match my direct, so now I got the direct and the newsstand. But Amazing Spider-Man 252, such a great homage, and I think over time it's going to become more collected, so one to have, hopefully under 800 if you can swing it. Next one of homage covers, Spawn number 230 I want to talk about. This is the Batman 423 cover homage, both by McFarlane, and kind of big shout out, I guess, to the whole run of Spawn here. So from Spawn 220 to 231, I think it was, are all homage covers of classic covers. So kind of choose your favorite. I would just check them all out, check out which ones are your favorite. This is one of my favorites though, because I'm sort of on the record as saying like Batman 423 is kind of like a Spawn prototype, where McFarlane was like drawing the cape, sort of like it's the first time you see him draw like a wild cape, and obviously Spawn has like the craziest cape. So yeah, to have McFarlane do a homage all these years later in this sort of Spawn run is really cool, I think. Well done, it looks awesome. Yeah, so great on the census too for this one. Yeah, 35 CGC 9.8s in the blue label. Quite a few signature series as well. Seeing a lot of the signature series sell in the pricing lately. 33% is the blue label CGC 9.8 ratio, so that's not bad at all. Like, of all graded copies, only 33% of them are 9.8s. For I think this came out in like 2012 or something like that. I forget exactly, but a newer book. So not bad at all for the 9.8 ratio. Yeah, this might be one to consider in the blue label, certainly. So prices, the signature series saw them sell, the range there being $550 to $600. $550 to $650, actually, I had it wrote down. So yeah, if you maybe want it now, $650, $550 if you wait for an auction or a motivated seller. In a negotiation, you can get it hopefully for $550. The blue label completed sales and on Go Collect have it right around $325. And yeah, about a year ago, I remember one of these going in an auction for like $275. It was almost $300, and I was thinking like, that's kind of a lot for the homage. And this was before Batman 423 had really taken off in price as well. But now I think, right around $325 in the blue label with only 35 of them out there in the 9.8 blue label with a nice low ratio. I can see why people are kind of paying over $300 in the blue label, and maybe want to consider if you're really into the signed books as well. You can definitely find it. But Spawn 230, my favorite homage, the Batman 423 cover homage by McFarlane. Next book's pretty cool, one to consider. I think that's affordable. It's a Simpsons Comics #1, and this is a Fantastic Four #1 cover homage. So yeah, kind of homaging the Silver Age classic. Pretty cool too when you get them side by side, kind of. Yeah. So Simpsons Comics #1 is, yeah, you can get it for an affordable price, and if this is kind of your thing, or if you're a big Simpsons fan, this is one to get, I think. So there's 544 in the 9.8 as well. So you can, a lot of these out there, you can definitely find them. 62.9% the CGC 9.8 ratio. So of all graded copies, 62.9% of them are 9.8s. Not too bad, nothing to really write home about actually for an early 90s book, and that's why I think this one's pretty cheap. The price range on eBay this morning, just doing a little research on the completed listings, from $110 to $122.50 basically they're selling for. So yeah, I mean, you get this one right around $120, $110 in a nice looking new case. I think is a great buy. And yeah, it's a cool homage cover, and if you're a Simpsons fan and comic book fan, this is the one to get. I'm not the biggest Simpsons fan, to be honest, but even though I'm not, this is still kind of tempting at the price. But a cool Fantastic Four #1 cover homage as well. Definitely wanted to include it. So next one here is a G.I. Joe Special #1. Yeah, we've highlighted this one on a couple videos in the past, but it's such a cool cover. It's Spider-Man #1 cover homage, obviously. So not done by McFarlane though. There's some McFarlane art on the inside, but it's Phil Gossier and Scott Koblish doing the cover art on this one. Really cool, just super well executed. I like the little weird detail with the hand and the knife as well. Like, just a great cover homage for sure. There's 99 CGC 9.8s in the blue label, and I remember on our last video I talked about and recommended this one. It was like under, I think it was like 80 something, so under 100 of these in the 9.8 was like kind of a big deal back then. I was saying, you know, a great kind of now a 1 of 99 collector item in the blue label. I think is really cool if you're a McFarlane fan and a G.I. Joe fan for sure. 24.3% is the 9.8 ratio. Not bad at all for an early 90s book, or mid 90s I think with this one actually. Not bad at all. You know, you see them a lot higher. Certainly that Simpsons book is older and it's 62.9%, so the lower the better with these ratios. 24.3% of all graded copies are 9.8. Not bad in 9.8 rarity for this one. And because of that, it's pretty expensive. Yeah, this is a wanted book. It's always been since I've got into 9.8s. So completed listings, the range is 500 to 575 on eBay. There's like 2 or 3 completed listings that I was seeing. Yeah, so tough to get this one under 500. I do remember, I think on the last video I talked about it, which was months ago, I was like right around 400 is pretty much a steal on this one. And I think I even said maybe pay up to 500 if you really, really want this one, and it was looking good in a new case. And now, yeah, one's selling for 575 on eBay on the completed listing. So heating up maybe a little bit, but still a great collector item. 1 of 99. If you're a G.I. Joe and McFarlane fan, this one really does it and is a really cool collector item. Hopefully under 500 though, and the 9.8 would be a good price target. So a newer one I want to talk about here. It's a really cool one, I think. It's the Spider-Man #1 Facsimile by Clayton Crane. Yeah, this one just coming out in the last couple months here. So well executed, I think. And yeah, it's an interesting one, this one, because you're seeing some of these 9.8 pre-orders on eBay that are sort of more expensive than the original McFarlane Torment kind of Spider-Man #1. So is it worth it? Will be kind of a personal decision. I haven't purchased it. We'll talk about price in a second. So the one that is graded the most is it was the Scorpion Comics Virgin Edition. One of the more popular ones I'm seeing on eBay sell kind of thing. So in that one, the Scorpion Comics Virgin Edition, there's 20 9.8s in the blue label. Probably a lot of Signature Series too. I didn't look. 100% of them were 9.8. So 20 sent in of the blue label, all 20 were 9.8s. As with these new comic books, kind of happens right at the beginning. So the pre-orders though for the Spider-Man #1 Facsimile, that just the trade dress, like it just looks exactly like with the trade and everything, not the Virgin Edition. That one on the pre-order, the cheapest one I'm seeing on eBay is $150, like $149.99, I think it was. And then the Scorpion Comics Virgin Edition in the 9.8, a few have sold of that one, and it's sort of like $185 was the lowest price, up to like $225 was kind of the higher end already for these. Yeah, so I mean the cover looks really cool. That's why I really wanted to include it on the list, but I think it's a little bit too expensive for me right now. This will probably be one where 6 to 8 months will help you a lot with the price. You wait 6 to 8 months, and then, you know, wait for a couple auctions maybe, and hopefully you get this one closer to like 120-ish, or closer to sort of the normal Torment price, which I'm pretty, like, you can kind of get a Spider-Man #1 by Todd McFarlane, you know, whatever cover, they're all kind of about the same price for like maybe $90. You know, maybe they've heated up with, you know, kind of everything McFarlane, maybe heating up to about 100, but I would think over time this Facsimile kind of gets to that near $100 level, even though it is so cool. But yeah, still want to talk about it. But if you want it now, I think the cheapest pre-order out there was that $150, and yeah, maybe in an auction, that Scorpion Comics Virgin Edition, which looks really cool, hopefully get under $200. would be some price targets to aim for. Okay, last one on the list of cover homage CGC 9.8s. Yeah, so many homages out there. Like, if you notice, I did not include any Amazing Spider-Man 300 homages in this list because there's like a gazillion and hard to kind of pick out one. So I'll leave that up to everyone else. Definitely share your favorite homages in the comments below if you want. Last one on the list, though, it's a What If number 10, the first Jane Foster as Thor, with the Journey into Mystery 83 cover homage, the first Thor. So such a classic homage, and this one I've covered in some videos as well, when, you know, there was sort of that first announcement that the Lady Thor movie was going to come out, the Jane Foster Thor. This book really heated up, and it was like most of them were going for over $1,000, and I was just thinking, like, you know, be patient on this one. You know, 6 to 8 months will probably do pretty well for this book to, you know, just have it relax, and more will come graded and come online kind of thing. And I think that's what's happening now, and I did make a video maybe a month or two ago kind of recommending this one, and I still think it kind of holds. I think there's a bit of a lull before the Lady Thor movie comes out next year. So What If number 10 in the 9.8 is a legit kind of investment grade book that I think you can maybe consider buying right now if you're really into it. 119 9.8 in the blue label, so, you know, first appearance of Jane Foster as Thor ever, and there's only one of 119. Like, that's pretty cool. That's a great collector item, I think. 12.9% is the CGC 9.8 ratio, so of all graded copies, 12.9% of them are 9.8s, which is not bad at all. That's a great investment grade ratio, although this one is a little bit older. You're getting into the 70s here, but still a really nice ratio. So prices, because mentioning, you know, after that announcement, they were all over 1,000 in the 9.8. Some, I think, even going for like 1,300, like some pretty absurd prices, I think. Seeing some completed listings on eBay, though, right in that sort of 750 to 800 range. And I think if you're patient on an auction in this one, you get a really good looking one for under $800. I think that's a pretty great buy in sort of this environment. I think it's a big first appearance. Cool cover homage of the first Thor, which kind of makes it cool as well. And yeah, you know, a lot of times I don't really recommend, like, buy this because the movie's coming out, but, you know, it's just a cool first appearance to have regardless of a hero, for sure. And if that movie comes out and really hits hard and does well, then, you know, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 other Lady Thor movies, Jane Foster Thor movies, so this could just be one to have and one that will go on a really good trend. And it has lulled a little bit since that sort of initial announcement, and the prices got really hot there, so I think What If number 10, it's kind of a good time for this one if you want it to kind of get in there, and hopefully under 800 in the CGC 9.8 white pages. Yeah, first appearance of Jane Foster Thor, Lady Thor. That's a big hero first appearance that I think over time is going to be a good one to just hold. Okay, 7 cover homages in the 9.8 there. I'll have a list in the description below of if you just want kind of a quick reference there. So top picks to get into here, because I think a few do kind of really stand out. So first top pick is an Amazing Spider-Man 252 in the CGC 9.8. Yeah, a great cover homage that's going to be well collected. It's just going to be timeless, I think. You get a first appearance mixed in there. Looks really good on the census in the 9.8. I think the only thing about this one is, you know, the price is really heated up lately. So still my favorite book on the list, I think. Hopefully you get it closer to 800 in the CGC 9.8. It has heated up a lot, but it's hard not to kind of recommend this one. But yeah, first top pick, though, Amazing Spider-Man 252 with the classic Amazing Fantasy 15 cover homage. Second top pick is the G.I. Joe Special number 1. Yeah, this one with the sort of 99, under 100 of them in the 9.8 out there. It's tough to find in the really high grade. And, you know, probably my favorite Spider-Man number 1 homage that I can think of. Certainly the Clayton Crane one's cool, but I think this one's a better collector item, and then it's just a bit of a different take. And if you're a G.I. Joe fan, this is just up there on the list of, like, big keys to want in the 9.8. So, yeah, hopefully G.I. Joe Special in the 9.8 under $500 would be a really great price. And a last one of the top pick here, What If number 10. Yeah, first big Jane Foster as Thor appearance. I was really kind of torn between this book and Spawn 230, because Spawn 230 is looking great on the census too, so maybe that's a number 4 top pick. But number 3, what if number 10, you get that first appearance with a great cover homage and a great collector item that I think over time will do really well. Okay, so concluding up here with the cover homages. Yeah, I think it's funny because I think that, back in the 90s when I sort of collected, like, cover homages were, I think, almost thought of as kind of lazy and, maybe not worth collecting or anything like that. But I think that's completely switched with, modern books. There's always like, 2 or 3 homages like every new comic book day, it seems almost. And I think it's completely flipped to where they're just really collected. And it gets down to that, I think people like to have that feeling, that little feeling of maybe having one of those huge keys, whether it's just a homage or a facsimile. That's why I think some of the facsimiles have become really popular too. But yeah, I really think you don't really want to overlook homages and have that attitude of like, oh, it's a lazy cover, like they're just copying, which I've heard somewhat, more so back in the day. But I think really, like I said, they're just really accepted. So don't overlook homages, and certainly leave some comments below of your favorite homages if you want. But yeah, happy to get a list here of 7 cover homages in the CGC 9.8. Yeah, they're just so collectible, and definitely do not overlook homages. I think over time they're going to be extremely well collected. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching today, and if you haven't already, I would invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Hit the bell for all the latest video notifications, and add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. All the links in the description below for that. But yeah, hopefully you get some ideas here, a couple ones that we don't talk about too much for this homage video. But yeah, I think we could probably end up doing a couple more of these homage videos down the road, because there's just so many. So thanks again for watching. Really appreciate all the support and all the conversations I'm having on Instagram. Just love talking to the team. So thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.